You did a video not too long ago where you essentially retested these feats of strength that you had
Mm,
done in the past. Some of them many years ago, some of them more recently. It was a pinky one arm pull up and
mm,
156 or 157 on the campus, the one arm muscle up. These very famous feats of strength that you'd done.
yeah.
And I'm curious what surprised you when you retested some of those feats from when you were perhaps a little bit more focused on your training.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that on the dynamic strength, I was worse, I would say, but on the more static exercises, I felt better or the same or better than before. And that's without like training. It's like less than half of the training that I used to do. So that was a little bit surprising, but not that surprising. I feel like when you get older, you also get more static and slow, and but at the same time, also sometimes stronger. And I know a lot of climbers who have kind of peaked in their 40s. So I never use age as like an excuse. I always get annoyed when everyone will say that, oh, I'm so old, I'm so old, I'm getting old. But when I look back at this 10 years from now, I will say, what were you talking about? You were 35, you were so young. Why were you complaining about being old? It's the same as when I was 25 too. I felt like, oh, getting old, like all these youngsters, like Adam Ondra, there's so many good kids around. And now when I think back at it, I was like, 25 is nothing. So you always think that you're old, but you never actually be old. So I try not to think too much about that, and especially since climbing is a sport where you can peak at a really when you're older. So uh, yeah, for me, it's more that I mean I've been at a pretty high level, and I feel like maintaining that takes so much time and effort. So for me, it's not really worth it at this point in my life. Um, so that is also kind of a struggle right now is to find a motivation for climbing. Like I don't have a set goal that I'm training for. I just try to maintain, and that can sometimes be hard.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting to see in that video where you were retesting some of those um, exercises and challenges that not only did you maintain, but you actually improved on certain ones. So like the hang on the 20 mil on the Beast Maker, I feel like you
Mm.
blew your time out of the water. Like you almost doubled your time or something like that, right?
Yeah, on my left hand, I was a lot stronger than the last time I tried.
And that's
But
something
that
that
is
you hadn't been
also,
training.
yeah, not really, not that much, no. I do it occasionally, but yeah, it's also like up and down. It really depends on how strong I feel that day, really. But I had a good day, so I felt pretty strong on it. But yeah, no, that kind of stuff and like finger strength, all that stuff, I feel like I'm almost the same. And I think that's also a lesson I wish I could have t told my younger self is that maybe I trained a little bit too much because I feel like I was always tired, so I never got those like really good sessions where I feel completely rested because it was the only thing I did back then was climb and nothing else. So I think I would climb too much sometimes, and I've always enjoyed training. So I felt like I did too much, like pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, all that stuff, and I should have focused more on quality. But that's really hard when climbing is your job and it's the only thing you're doing.
All right, y'all, just a quick shout out here for today's sponsor, which is Rungni. Magnus Midtbø started this company. You know it, you've seen it. But why do I love it? Why should you love it? Well, first of all, their clothes are incredibly soft. They're so comfy. They just came out with this banger spring line of shorts and tees. And whether I'm climbing or whether I'm lounging, I just love how Rungni fits. And then the other stuff they make is incredible. Their chalk bags. I'm so psyched on their chalk bags. They've got a magnetic closure that keeps the chalk inside, but it's also so satisfying to open and close. Premium materials, and then what goes inside that chalk bag? Magnus chalk. It's so good. Whether I'm struggling on the moon board or struggling on my project out on rock, that mag dust is keeping my fingers nice and sticky. You guys can check it all out at that link below and use code STRUGGLE to score 15% off. Let's go. Now, you weren't able to do like the pinky one arm pull up, which, is
Yeah.
understandable. That was bonkers even when you did it back in the day. But to do 20 some seconds, on a Beastmaker without training all that much,
Hmm.
um, did it redefine what you think maybe it takes in order just to stay fit? And I'm curious also what does your weekly training look like in order to maintain?
Yeah, I felt um, like now my weekly train, I would say 3 times per week. That's enough for me, or even 2 times per week. If I have 2 good sessions a week, and not really long sessions either. Most of my sessions are like an hour and a half, maybe. As soon as I start feeling fatigued, tired, I will just stop. And it's not very organized either. It's basically me just fluffing around a little bit and then doing some dead hangs. And it's not, I don't have a diary or a workout plan or anything like that. So yeah, for me, it's just, I've always been naturally pretty motivated to just pull hard. And I feel like if I have too much of a plan, it just gets in the way of that motivation I have. So for me, that works better.
I've heard you also say in the past that one doesn't need a complicated plan in order to get good at climbing, in order to train. And so it really surprised me in that video that you were still able to do the 156, nearly a 157, just as you were back when you were more dialed on your training. Same thing. You improved, in fact, on your hang on the 20 mil edge on the
Yeah.
Beastmaker. So I'm curious, for me as somebody who's also very busy, and I think a lot of people who are
Hmm.
watching as well, um, what does it take? Like, essentially, how much can we pull back in order to likely maintain or maybe even improve on what we have if we can't spend 5 days a week in the gym?
Yeah, I think this is also very personal, and I think that's important. It's the same also. I remember when I used to compete, like everyone's training is so differently. Some people can train 2 times per day and feel strong and perform really well, but other people will train like 3 or 4 times per week and be equally strong. So I think it depends also on your body type and just a lot of different things. Um, so I think it's more individual than people think maybe. Um, yeah.
And then when you're going in and climbing, so you're saying maybe 2 or 3 days a week you're going in and it's not super structured. I've seen some of these, you've posted some videos on this. Are you just trying hard on boulder problems, on set boulder problems and having fun? Or do you try to hit certain skills or certain weaknesses so that they don't slide?
No, for me, it's just to be honest, I try to always do all the boulders in the gym. Like if I can do every set boulder, commercially set boulder, I'm usually pretty strong. And there are some strong setters at my gym, so for me that works out pretty well. And we have a really good spray wall. I use that sometimes, but not that much. And I also use like kilter board and mood boards and all that stuff. I don't do so much campusing, but I do, yeah, of course, the Beastmaker. I also train a lot on the Beastmaker. But yeah, I don't know. Also when I competed, I tried to do like periodization. So I would do different periods where I would get really, really tired. I would break myself down. But I think I kind of overdid that when I look back at it now. I think I did too much of that. I think those high quality sessions, that's what I should have had more of. And also I should have probably focused more on recovery as well. I kind of didn't take that too seriously. So that's my biggest regret.